Hello, friends, and welcome to the Happy Half Hour, a very special edition of the Happy Half Hour, as they all are.
We've been having a lot of happy half hours.
That's
around
right.
Here lately.
It's extra happy when the Carolina Panthers win football games. You know when else it's extra happy?
When you get Deep Eddy Vodka swag.
When you're enjoying gifts, courtesy of our fine friends at Deep Eddy Vodka. Listen, folks, the clock is ticking. You have 6 days. Count them 6. All entries have to be in by October 26th. If you, too, want to enter the Sweet Sip sweepstakes back here for your chance to win two tickets to the November 9th game against the Saints, all courtesy of our friends at Deep Eddy Vodka. All you've got to do is come up with your custom cocktail with one of these fine Deep Eddy products, and you, too, could join us right here at Bank of America Stadium on November 9th against the Saints. There will be Deep Eddy swag in the Deep Eddy suite. You'll get access to the One Carolina Club. It's a good time. It's where all the cool kids are going to be. And really, is there anything cooler than a sports writer in a free quarter zip? This is practically our uniform,
I was about to say,
friends.
that's Darin's entire wardrobe.
Yeah.
I got a quarter zip one time at the Chick-fil-A bowl game. It was, the Peach Bowl. They call it the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl now.
Did they say my pleasure when they handed it to you?
They should have. And that is, to this day, still one of the most comfortable quarter zips I've ever gotten.
That'll be the end of that talk. This is a Bojangles. This is a friend of Bojangles podcast.
I received a Peach Bowl quarter zip.
That's right.
Sponsor redacted.
That's right. You redact that sponsor, if you please. At any rate, football, many people are happy about the result yesterday. The Carolina Panthers won 13-3 at New York.
13-6.
What did I say?
13-3.
Man, you'd think a sports writer would get the score right from time to time.
Minor detail.
It was right on Panthers.com. I remember that part. Panthers win 13-6 on the road. First road win in this season. First time they've been 500 this deep in a season since 2019.
They're even above 500.
Right. Yeah, first time above 500 this deep in a season since 2019. There's a lot of numbers coming at us. But, of course, today's news obviously cast a little bit of a pall over that. We'll find out as the week goes on how bad. Bryce Young came out of that game with an ankle sprain, left in the third quarter, did not return to the game. Dave Canales told reporters today, hey, we're handling this day to day. It's going to be a thing we're going to see. Here's what I know about Bryce. There was no evidence of panic last night. Rico Dowdle talked to him afterward. He said, everything's going to be okay, not a big deal. Everybody's suggesting this is not going to be a lengthy absence, if an absence at all. Dave Canales he was going in coach mode. It's day to day, and we'll see what he does on Wednesday. So tune in to Panthers.com on Wednesday to see what that injury report looks like. But the good news for the Carolina Panthers is they're playing the kind of football that allows them to survive things.
Right.
And whether that's the absence of quarterback, whether it's the 6 starting offensive line in 7 weeks, whether it's, this guy out, people moving around in and out of the lineup, they have proven themselves to be, over the last month, a fairly resilient football team. And that's the thing Dave Canales is trying to train them up to be.
And, you've got a veteran quarterback in Andy Dalton that if he is the one who plays on Sunday or when he had to step in like yesterday, this is a team that has really become a run-first team or a run-heavy team. And a lot of times that requires a quarterback that knows how – it's not just simply turning around and handing the ball off. It's knowing when to check in and check out of runs, when to maybe move runs to the different side, take advantage of different matchups and zones, things like that. Andy's a very veteran quarterback, a very capable veteran quarterback that knows how to get them in and out of those plays, how to get everybody in the right position. We saw him do that last year at times. We've seen him do it a lot in practice. And so this is not a guy that's coming in off the bench as a green quarterback. This is a guy that's been in the league for a long time, that knows how to read defenses, study defenses, and move guys around, and not at all to discredit what Bryce has brought to this offense and what possibly not, and we still don't know, but what possibly not having him could do to it. He has gotten really, really comfortable in this offense, and everyone around him has become more comfortable as he has become more comfortable. But still an offense that is going to ride the backs of Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard more than anything. And you see, too, like you saw it again yesterday, Andy Dalton and Xavier Legette have a really good connection. Canales kind of I don't know if it was a joke or not. I took it as a joke. He may have been serious, that it may have something to do with it, that Andy spent all those years throwing to A.J. Green. So he's used to looking for a big body receiver downfield. All of that to say, you're in a good position when your backup or your second option is Andy Dalton.
I think that was a mostly serious point. I mean, because A.J. Green was a good-sized wide receiver, and him and Andy Dalton connected for a lot. By the way, you mentioned Andy Dalton's done this for a long time with great success. Andrew Dalton is 26th on the NFL's all-time touchdown pass list, tied with some guy named Dan Fouts. Who, when he threw his last touchdown, he moved into a tie with Dan Fouts. That was for 25th. They've since been passed by some guy named Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah, he'll do that to you.
Who crept ahead of them. But Andy's been doing this for a long time. He's pretty good at the football gang.
How far is he away from 25?
He is one touchdown away from tying Sonny Jurgensen for 25th place on that list.
What's 24th?
24 would be Derek Carr at 257. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
We're all about the work here at the Happy Half Hour. We honor the work in this podcast, and we're only concentrating on Monday today. So anyway, so we will see as the week goes on what Bryce is able to do. Dave said, hey, we're going to see what Bryce wants to do because Bryce is pushing ahead to try to do everything he can. We saw him today. He was walking around being Bryce, and he was doing Bryce things in the Bryce way. So we will see as the week goes on. But here's the thing that's encouraging about this Carolina Panthers team. In the past, they have been in spots where if a quarterback goes down, it's, oh, God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
The Carolina Panthers are truly living that complimentary football life right now. I mean, I did not anticipate when I entered this season that the Carolina Panthers were going to become a top 10 defense in the NFL. I just didn't. I thought the goal is, okay, you set all the wrong kind of records. A year ago, they brought in a bunch of new dudes. Let's get up the middle of the pack, see where that gets us. Where they have gotten is to the kind of defense that can change games in a lot of ways. They had 5 sacks going into yesterday, left with 11. Yeah. J.C. Horn had 1 interception on the season, 5 on career, left with 8. I mean, he's coming off a 2-interception game. Derek has 2 sacks of their 6. Derek bats down 3 passes. You've got dudes on the front and back of this defense who can change the game at any given moment.
Yeah.
And they did.
And to back up your point, too, that you were making, Canales said that today, I think we're playing really – you see that all 3 phases are coming into a win, and that makes all the difference. It does make it a little easier if you do, have to sit your quarterback for a week. Trevor Etienne, 45-yard kickoff return yesterday. That started the second half really, really well.
And they've talked about wanting to get Trevor involved in the run game.
Yeah.
But, oh, by the way, there's Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle in front of him on the depth chart.
My favorite thing that they do with Trevor, they've done it about 3 or 4 times now, and they did it yesterday, is Trevor starts flexed out, and then he runs to the backfield, and then he runs in a circle, and then he runs around Bryce and the other running back, and then he runs and flexes out on the the other side.
There's stuff happening all over the place.
He just ran 50 yards before the ball was even snapped.
Well, and again, incorporating some of that motion adds to what they've been able to do offensively. Dave Canales talked about it with the decision to keep Jimmy Horn up this week instead of Hunter Renfrow. Once Jalen Coker got back in the lineup, he's like, hey, we're averaging 2 more yards a play when Jimmy's out there, because when there's motion, it gives the opposing defense one more thing to look at and one more thing to account for. I was talking to Luke Kuechly, because that's a thing I do. That's just such a casual jerk thing to say. I was talking to Luke Kuechly the other day, and he said, but I was talking to Luke about this, and he said it is complicated, and it's just an extra thing you've got to account for. As a linebacker, when somebody's got that kind of speed, you don't know which way he's going with it. And it creates a problem. And it's one of those things, if Luke Kuechly says it's a problem, I am willing to accept that is problematic.
And I think you're seeing that come to fruition more and more as this offense evolves. Because especially yesterday, I know stat sheet-wise, and even a little bit watching it wise, the offense probably felt and looked a little clunky at times. I think some of that was just getting guys back. Your offensive line changed again. Still very, very good and capable and efficient offensive line, but it is still a little different. Coker was back for the first time this season. They did have to switch quarterbacks when Bryce went out. All that to say, you see the concepts coming to life.
Like, you see guys getting open, you see guys running downfield. That was also a really good Jets front. Anytime you have to face Quinnen Williams, guys like that, anytime you have to face Sauce Gardner, that makes life a little more difficult. But you saw guys getting open. You saw the play calls kind of coming to life and the concepts of what they want to do, even in still what would be considered quote unquote an ugly offensive win.
Yeah, you take it. I mean, here's the thing. You mentioned Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, two really good football players. Steve Wilkes really wanted to show out. And honestly, the defense was not the deal for the New York Jets yesterday. They've held two teams with over 500 records to 13 points each of the last 2 weeks in the Broncos and the Carolina Panthers, and lost both games. So
the Broncos put up 33 yesterday.
That's right.
And they scored 13.
And, they've been moving the ball around pretty good too. So the Jets can play a little defense. They knew it was going to be that kind of ugly it up game, clutch and grab. And
the Jets also like to load their box, and especially if you know that your offense is running through Chuba and Rico, like, what do you think the Jets are going to do? They're going to get in there and try to stop that.
No question. And they did. I thought it was funny when I saw some of the comments of the Panthers weren't able to really run the ball yesterday. They ran for 125 yards. And that's basically, top 12 in the league kind of average per game, if you look at it like that. And it's just, when it's not 240, it's like, what are you guys even doing out there? Only gaining 125 on the ground. What's wrong with you? But Canales did say going into this week his plan is to keep going with what he's doing with Rico and Chuba and just kind of alternating them in series by series. I think you'll probably see, this is my guess, you start to diversify that a little bit, and you'll see more of that Jimmy jet sweep action. You'll see more of the Trevor running around as an alternate in the backfield. I mean, we've seen Rico Dowdle hand the ball off to Chuba Hubbard this year. So they've got all kind of wrinkles.
Rico told me yesterday, he said, we want to run 3-0, which is 3 running backs, no tight ends. I said, can I be there when you tell Pat McPherson that?
Yeah.
And he said, no. He said, now I'm telling the coaches that we want to run triple option. Let me throw he said, I'll be the quarterback. I got Chuba on one side, Trev on the other, and I'll throw it to him. Rico Dowdle did play quarterback in high school.
Who says no? Let's go wishbone. What do you say?
Dan Mullen used to say that all the time at Florida. We're going to run the wishbone offense. And it never came to life.
I would love that. The old man in me would love to see a little bit of wishbone football in the NFL. So what did I do? Did I write on
drew
that thing?
On the table.
I'm sorry,
Matt,
DL. I
I
didn't mean to mess up your desk here. At any rate, this is the danger of me and loose items. This is what happens. But at any rate, so we've talked about Bryce. We've talked about the defense. We've talked about running. I mean, obviously, big game coming up this weekend. Buffalo Bills with our many old friends, and we'll talk about that more later in the week when we visit on Thursday. But whether it's Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, whether it's Shaq Thompson, whether it's Sam Franklin, it's like an endless parade. And, oh, by the way, about a third of the population of the city of Charlotte, I believe, is from Buffalo, based on the flags I see on cars and people telling me how to drive and how we don't know what to do when it snows. But we notice you all move here, and we don't go there. So we love it when the Buffalites and the Buffalonians come to town. They're always gracious. They tend to bring their own furniture to break rather than breaking out.
That's that nice Midwestern spirit there. Or I guess they're not Midwest. They're Northeast.
Northeastern.
Yeah.
It's lake effect furniture
that's
breakage.
That nice
So,
Northeast.
At any rate, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they come in, but things will inevitably change a little bit if Bryce isn't able to go. But to your point, Andy operates in a way that kind of allows things to normalize. We saw it last year in Las Vegas. He kind of came in, and it was a little bit like coming in late in the game. There were some moments where it was a little bit off, but he starts hitting shots downfield. And that 33-yard completion to XL, and you talked to XL this afternoon. I mean, that's an example of what Andy's able to do.
Yeah. And X said that when they got the call in the huddle, he didn't know if it was coming to him, but he was like, I kind of figured he might throw it to me. And, again, that kind of goes back to just the chemistry that those two have as well. And it worked. That was a huge play call, too, to do that. And in that moment, good call. And it worked. When you've got a guy like Andy that you can trust to go out there and make that play call, then it allows you to keep on your call sheet, as Canales would say. And Now can he do it this week too against another really, really good defensive front? I mean, look at the Bills' front seven. They've got, I think, Joey Bosa, Ed Oliver, Shaq Thompson. And are you pulling up their roster?
They got all kinds of dudes. The Buffalo Bills, this just ain't good at football.
Yeah,
I know there's been
a
lot of panic about them with some of the results right before their bye week. But they're one of those teams again.
They're 4-2.
Sean McDermott's one of those guys who's good at coaching, and so you give him a bye week to work on some of their issues, and they've kind of reached that point. I mean, that's the place the Carolina Panthers are trying to get to. They're trying to create that stable platform where you're good at a consistent level, and then you try to peak off of that. But the Bills are one of the standards in the league. They're one of the teams. Yeah. So this is going to be another good test. One of the things I've enjoyed watching this team do is they've kind of won in 3 different ways the last 3 weeks. I mean, they had the historic comeback against the Dolphins. They win a shootout against the number 1 offense in the league in the Dallas Cowboys. And then you kind of had to win that ugly game. Yeah. And I love that Andy's like, yeah, man, they all count as one. So ugly, pretty, doesn't really matter. And the ugly part is not anything anybody's getting too hung up on.
And you know what's funny, too, is like, this is about to sound real curmudgeon-y, is we call it an ugly win because it was a defensive win. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. I'm sorry, like anytime you go out there and you get 6 sacks and Derek Brown is batting down balls here and there, anytime you get 2 interceptions, you hold a rushing defense below 100 yards again. I mean, a rushing attack below 100 yards for a 3rd straight week. I mean, that's a good defensive performance. And I know the Jets didn't have Garrett Wilson, but they still have guys. And, Justin Fields has been a quarterback in this league for a while. And any time that you can go out there and have a defensive performance like that, that's encouraging. And I know, people might say like, oh, well, it was just the Jets. They've played games really, really closely. Mm-hmm. And, to your point, you win it a bunch of different ways. And this past week was a defensive win.
Yeah.
Let's go with that phrase, defensive win, not ugly win.
Yeah, I will not discriminate against a low-scoring game. It's
Will Muschamp told me one time, have I told this story before?
Probably.
Will Muschamp told me one time that his ideal win was 2-0 because the only score was a defensive score.
I could get down with that.
Yeah.
Would that be scoregami? We'll have to look that up, but we'll research that. But we'll get into all that. The other thing about yesterday's game, in talking about the many people who are contributing to it, is with those 6 sacks. I mean, you see A'Shawn Robinson get in there. You see Trayvon Merritt get in there. Mm-hmm. Nick Scorton got loose for his first sack and a half in the NFL. Princely, after Derek landed on him. Derek Brown can make an impact on a game plan. Derek Brown can make an impact on a Princely when he falls on top of him, because that's a lot of Derek falling out of the sky. And so Princely was announced as questionable for a little bit to return, was back in the game, got his half sack, and kept it moving, and just incorporating more and more dudes. A week after Pat Jones goes on IR, to be able to get more people involved. Boogie Basham's out there running around. Even T.I., Thomas Incoom, special teamer, was out there on some defensive snaps. It was really such an all-hands-on-deck kind of defensive win. Everybody had a hand on it, including your guy Trevin Wallace.
But I was also just going to say, too, like, credit to DJ Wanham. He kind of gets lost a little bit in the conversation because everyone is understandably enamored with the rookie pass rushers. And, Pat Jones had done so much. A lot of that is coming because DJ Wanham's getting pressure and kind of collapsing the pocket and pushing the guys out into the he's played really well too. Right. So
and you get a Turk Wharton back in the lineup who's got a little push too. We got pictures. One of my favorite pictures on Panthers.com from the last 24 hours. I don't even remember what time of day it came in or which story it was in. Was Tershawn Wharton flying through the air at Breece Hall, and it's like, okay, this is slightly terrifying.
I would love to know the physics of how that happened.
Yeah, it's Turk's bringing the impact when he does stuff like that. Yeah. So, good win for the Carolina Panthers. Again, 4-3 feels pretty good.
Yeah,
it's a very different conversation than when it was 1-3 and everybody was freaking out and wondering what was wrong with this football team and where did everything go wrong. They've got things stabilized. We talked last week about playing that normal football again. Learning to win a game like yesterday is another big step in that. So It was all in all a successful trip to New York. Speaking of Thursday, the clock's ticking. You've got till now, between now and October 26th. Is that what that card you didn't give me said, Matt?
It's right here.
Yeah, there's the card Matt didn't give me. October 26th is your deadline to enter the Deep Eddy Sweet Sips sweepstakes. You can win tickets to that November 9th Saints game and maybe come up with some good-looking Deep Eddy swag like I'm wearing here. So get your entries in between now and the 26th. Tune in to Panthers.com all week for all the latest on all the news and happenings in a big week of Carolina Panthers football. And until Thursday, we will see you later here from the Happy Half Hour.